Hey, everybody.
One
Oh.
second. Not there, not working. Nothing can be simple. Actually, you can't do that, can you? You could jump to the live view.
You have to change broadcast. You have to go back to the old broadcast. Because this is our live broadcast. So this is streaming to the new link.
You're saying go.
So open a new tab in Streamer. I don't know if you can do two simultaneously, but we have to find out.
But it's not live.
Oh, my hubby's on the new link.
He is, okay.
Yeah.
I have them both open. I'll screw this up.
I'm gonna keep emailing people just so that.
Let me
we
let
have
you
the new
do
link.
it now, so I don't mess with the live one.
There's 24 watching.
No, that's not bad. That's not bad, actually. Yeah, we should get going.
Okay, well, do you want to just say a few introductory words or just jump to Kevin?
Go, Kevin.
Go, Kevin.
Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Patterson, and I'm the president of the board of directors for the Wildling Museum of Art and Nature. I welcome you to this virtual event where we will be giving our Wilderness Spirit Award to noted underwater photographer Richard Salas. Richard is a strong advocate for the marine environment, a wonderful photographer, teacher, and I'm greatly looking forward to learning more about him during this event. I welcome you and offer you to sit back and relax, have a glass of your favorite libation, and join me in celebrating Richard's life and work.
Welcome, everybody, to our first virtual Wilderness Spirit Award event. And you know it's live because there have already been a few issues, tech issues that did not occur, of course, during our rehearsal, but of course happened when we were ready to go live. So we think that there are several of you online with this new link that we had to publish. Do not be shy about using the chat room to reassure us that you are seeing us and hearing us, because we need to know that. But to get to the point of the event, we're so excited to have Richard Salas here today. We had originally planned to honor Richard at last year's spring barbecue event, but we all know what happened last spring and COVID shut the world down. And then we were hoping we could go and have a barbecue this year. At some point in the winter, we were hoping for that, and then it appeared likely that that was just not going to work out. So we wanted to push forward and honor Richard, and that's what we're here about tonight. We're so happy that he's here. He's going to give you a great talk in a little bit. Do not miss it. And you'll have an opportunity to ask questions that he will be answering for you. I want to start by thanking our sponsors and their generosity. We so appreciate their generosity in supporting this event and the Wildling. Our silver sponsors include the Santa Ynez Band of Chumash Indians, and I do want to acknowledge that we here right now are standing here on their ancestral lands. We want to thank Northern Trust, Pete and Becky Adams, and the Rudy Schulte Family Foundation. And we have a list of bronze sponsors as well, and that includes Dick and Kate Godfrey, Belinda and Robert Hart, Bob and Ellen Lilly, Rich and Janice Nagler, and Gail and Jan Pursoon. Thank you all so very much. Their generosity and yours tuned in, if you're one of our paid attendees, you're all helping to bring quality programs and exhibitions to the Wildling in our community. So thank you very, very much. We hope you stay tuned until the very end of the event because we have 3 free raffles that all the paid attendees are already in, and we'll be having a fun raffle at the very end, so keep watching. So I want to give you a little background on our Wilderness Spirit Award. It was established by the museum and by our founder, Patty Jacquemain, in 2002, just a year after we were founded and opened our doors. And it was first given to artist and Oak Group founder Ray Strong. The idea was to honor those individuals in our community that were strong advocates for wilderness preservation and often did that through art, which of course Ray Strong was a perfect awardee for that purpose. So I want to read the past list of awardees that Richard Salas will be joining tonight. So again, Ray Strong in 2002, Ansel Adams, 2003, the Land Trust for Santa Barbara County, 2004, artist Bob Kuhn in 2005, Dick Smith in 2006, Fred and Nancy Emerson in 2008, Peter Howarth, 2009, Greta Ehrlich, 2010, Patty Jacquemain herself in 2012, the Oak Group in 2013, Bud Bottoms in 2015, Jan Hamber 2017, Joan Easton Lentz in 2018, and Jean Kellogg Schuyler in 2019. All incredible people doing incredible things for nature, wilderness, and the environment. And I think as the program unfolds tonight, you will perfectly understand why Richard is the next perfect recipient for this award. So what we're going to do now is dive into a video to see and understand Richard's watery world. I've never done scuba, but I feel like I have every time I watch that footage. You just got an incredible taste of the amazing biodiversity in our oceans. And Richard's work in capturing all of that inspires all of us to better understand our oceans and be better advocates for our planet. Now, Richard's had 3 exhibitions right here at the Wildling Museum, as well as at other museums in the county. Never mind writing, photographing, and publishing 3 amazing, gorgeous coffee table books. And then there's his student trips, and then there's his talks that he does all over the place. He's touched so many lives through his work. And here's just a few tributes from people in the county here that he's inspired.
Hello, I'm Luke Swetland, President and CEO of the Santa Barbara Museum of Natural History and Sea Center, and I am delighted to be here to congratulate Richard Salas for receiving this really important award. Richard has been a terrific friend of the museum and the Sea Center for many years. He's given a variety of programs where he shares his passion for the Santa Barbara Channel, and through his photography reminds us how beautiful and how fragile this special place is. We're delighted that we have a number of Richard's photographs hanging at both the museum and here at the Sea Center. In fact, you can't turn around at the Sea Center without seeing a fabulous shot that was done by Richard. So Richard, on behalf of all of us at the museum and the Sea Center, for your passion, for your creativity, for your leadership, and most importantly, for your friendship, mahalo and congratulations.
Hi everyone, my name is Greg Gorga, Executive Director of your Santa Barbara Maritime Museum, and I am so happy that the Wildling Museum is honoring Richard Salas with their Wilderness Spirit Award. You know, here in Santa Barbara, we are so lucky to have the Brooks Photography Institute and Ernest Brooks here. It produced so many amazing photographers, and especially in the unique field of underwater photography. And Richard is one of the top people to come out of that school. And his work really documents the rich marine life here in the Santa Barbara Channel. We have been so fortunate to show his work, like the Wildling has, temporarily in exhibits here and even in our permanent displays. So I'm so happy that he is getting recognition right now. And I also have to say that besides him being an amazing photographer and documenting all this rich marine life that we have here in our channel, he's also an amazing guy. You just see that beautiful smile of his in his photos, and that's what he's like all the time. He's always been a pleasure to work with here at the Maritime Museum, and that's why it's so important that the Wildling Museum is honoring him now. And so I say thank you for doing that, and congratulations, Richard.
I'm Andy Chow, and I'm with Northern Trust, and we proudly support the Wildling Museum and its mission to inspire our community to value and conserve wildlife and nature through art. Richard, your photography has inspired thousands to care for oceans and their inhabitants. Congratulations on being this year's Wilderness Spirit Award honoree.
Hello, I'm Audrey Garbasic, and I've been a student of Richard's for 4 years, over which time he's been teaching me the art of photography. Richard is all about lighting and having the ability to use strobes to create different effects. He encourages everyone to learn to use their strobes on long arms so they can utilize them in many positions. Richard does things to facilitate our learning, like building Kerbals for everyone and having us take them underwater. These Kerbals look like little snowmen with a lot of texture. The lighting exercises were fun and meant to show us how we can control the amount of texture in our photos, as well as be aware of our strobe positions. On his trips, Richard conducts daily share or teach sessions. During the share sessions, I started seeing his photos and fell in love with the depth and feeling they portrayed. I was so inspired and ever since have been working hard on the many techniques he's taught me. Most of all, Richard has taught me that my photos are an expression of myself. I have become more confident with my visions for my photos. After many critique sessions with Richard, my eye is starting to see art in a photograph. I not only have visions for my photos, but I am able to appreciate great photos from my travel buddies. In addition to being a great teacher, over the years, Richard has become a cherished friend. He loves marine life, and it is wonderful that he can share its beauty with the rest of us through his amazing photography. I am so happy and proud that he is getting the Wilderness Spirit Award.
Many thanks to Luke, Craig, Andy, and Audrey for bearing witness to our honoree tonight. It's almost time to have Richard come up and talk, but before that, I have to thank our amazing filmmaker, editor, camera guy, computer guy, who's here tonight behind the camera, and he has just poured hours and hours and hours into helping us with this event. And Jeff McLaughlin, you're amazing. Couldn't do this without you, very, very literally, so thank you so much. And with that, we're going to show the video that he taped with Richard, and where Richard talks a little bit about some of his motivations for his work.
All of a sudden, this wall of hammerheads just came over and just kept going and going and going. And everywhere I could see were hammerheads. And I was thinking to myself that they don't really have a voice. You know, they can't jump out of the water and say, save us from shark fin soup, you know. And I thought that I would be that voice. The books have been an amazing experience. Having someone take the book in their hand and go through the pictures individually and be amazed at some of the animals and their expressions, you know, and almost anthropomorphizing the animal so that the person can get a more positive experience of the ocean, especially sharks. I was in San Benedicto once with giant manta rays, 20 foot wide, and it actually stopped to look at me. And I was floating in the water, and you know, that communication, that unspoken communication between the two of you and a wild animal, is incredible. It was the start of a real love affair with these animals that I consider my family and my friends. You know, they're beings that are on this earth that we share, and the better we are to them, the better we are to us. One of the greatest experiences of my life is just floating, neutrally buoyant, and you can be in the water weightless, you know, and with schools of fish swimming by, or dolphins swimming by, or sharks swimming by. And I want to show that in my books and in my work to people so that they will have that kind of experience, you know, from their armchair. I mean, that's what I'm going for in my work, is to change people's perception of how it is to be in the water, of how it is to be with sharks, of how it is to be with dolphins, with rockfish, you know, with the smallest of things, with nudibranchs. You know, you can have a personality in the animal. And if you can bring out that personality, then that will show the person that they actually do have a personality and they're not swimming around with no emotions. To show the diversity of life and the richness of life that abounds in the ocean. It's really glorious down there. And I can't say it enough, that the experiences that I've had and the experiences that I will have and the photographs that I'll come up with, I want to share. I want to share it all. And I want people to realize that there's nothing to be afraid of. You know, there's everything to rejoice about the experience of being in the ocean. There's amazing animals down there, and I want to see them all. I really do.
Well, now it's time to hear from the man of the hour himself. Richard, it's always incredible to hear your deep passion for the ocean and what an incredible voice you are for all of its diverse inhabitants. I know that your work has deepened my love for the ocean, even though I lived on an island for 18 years. I feel like I know it and understand it that much more deeply because of your work. And I have to say also that it is always an incredible joy working with you. I mean, we have had 3 exhibitions of your work here, and it's just a joy. I love being able to pick up the phone and go, hey, let's do something. So take it over. Let them hear from you.
Well, thanks, Stacy. You're probably wondering where it all started. And it all started when I was probably about 5 years old, and my mom, who's here tonight, used to take me to Laguna Beach. And Laguna Beach, I wasn't really interested in playing in the water. I wasn't interested in playing in the sand, but I was interested in the tide pools. And so I would run over to the tide pools and I turn my sleeves up and I lay down on the wet rock and I would put my arms in that cold, clear water and start to explore the animals that were there. There were urchins with spines, and there were sea anemones with soft underbellies, and there was sea stars. Sometimes I would take a sea star and see the legs, and there were fish and crabs and kelp and all that stuff. And the whole time that I was doing that, I was wishing I could make myself small and I could get into the tide pool and be with those friends that I had just met. And so 15 years later, I learned how to dive, luckily, and I was out at the islands, and I got in the water, and I adjusted my gear and made sure my regulator was working right, and my weight and everything was fine. And then I looked up and looked around, and there was the urchin, there was the sea star, there was the fish. You know, it was all there, and I got to really live out that dream that I had had to dive into the tide pools. And it started a love affair in my life with the ocean. I've had such great times in the ocean. You know, I was in this bait ball. And what a bait ball is, it's small fish that gather together that try and look like big fish to keep the bad fish away, the ones that want to eat them. And I was inside this bait ball. And this bait ball, you had fish going over your head and under your feet and around and to the left and to the right. And there was no reef for reference. So I was out in the water with all this swirling life going around, sort of like life on steroids. It was amazing. It was, for all you old folks, better than an e-ticket ride at Disneyland. It was really awesome. I just got back from Mexico, from the Revilla Jejedos, with my son, who I dive with. And we were just hanging out in the water. We were sort of weightless, not going up and not going down, and looking at each other and looking out into the blue. And far off in the distance, this form was coming towards us and was getting bigger and bigger. And it was so graceful in the water, just flying in the water. It was a giant Pacific manta ray. And the manta ray came right up to us, just about touched us, and did a barrel roll, showing his full underbelly towards us. We're looking at each other. It's an amazing thing. And then he stopped and looked at us. We looked at each other and we looked at the manta. And the recognition of a wild animal, a 20-foot, 3,900-pound wild animal, acknowledging that you're there and that you're sharing this beautiful space and this beautiful planet together was just a spiritual experience. It was really wonderful, and I got to share that with my son. When I was down in the Galapagos one time, I went down to about 60 feet, and there was at the surface, and the sea floor was about 120 feet deep. And I was just looking around, and three hammerhead sharks, scalloped hammerhead sharks came by, and then 4, and then 10, and 20, and 50, and 100. And all of a sudden, my view was filled with sharks, and they were just swimming by. I mean, it was like a migration. It was an incredible experience. And I looked at those sharks, and I thought, you know, the sharks don't have a voice. They can't tell us what's been going on in the ocean with their species. But I know what's been going on. 100 million sharks have been killed a year. It's knocked down the population of sharks 70% globally in the last 50 years. It's just astounding. And, you know, a shark can be swimming along and be pulled out of the water. And a guy can come and put his knee on the shark to keep it still and pull out this knife that's razor sharp and cuts the fins off of the shark as it's still writhing on the deck of the boat. And what does he do with the shark? He just throws it back in the water. And, you know, this is not a peaceful death. This shark can't swim anymore. It doesn't have any fins. And it's bleeding to death. And I sort of anthropomorphize the thoughts of the shark. But as it's floating down to the bottom to its death, I think, what was I doing? I was just swimming with my friends. I was just doing the normal things that I do every day. And then I get pulled out, and this happens to me. And so it falls to the bottom, and it either suffocates or it bleeds out. It's horrendous. It's a horrible death. The other thing, when they're looking for shrimp, they have these big nets that crawl along the bottom, that are pulled along the bottom by boats. And as they're pulled along the bottom, the fish are caught up in the net. The coral is caught up in the net. The plants, the turtles, the dolphins, the whales are all caught up in this net. And so they bring the net up to the boat and they pick out the shrimp. And the shrimp is called the targeted fish. And the other stuff is called bycatch. And sometimes the bycatch can be 5 times as much as the shrimp, 5 pounds of bycatch, 1 pound of shrimp, up to 20 pounds of bycatch to 1 pound of shrimp. And what do they do with the bycatch? These are animals that are dying or dead by now, that have been caught up in this net. They push them over the side of the boat, and they just rain down in death to the bottom sea floor that has been changed forever because of these nets. It's like taking a bulldozer through the rainforest or clear cutting the rainforest and only going after one small bird species. All the other life is destroyed. Well, you might think that farm-raised shrimp is better. You know, old MacDonald had a farm. It sort of sounds nice, but it's not. In the other countries that ship shrimp to us, which is about 90% of what we get, they have mangroves all along the coast that are just ripped out. Now, mangroves are an environment for the smaller fish. The fish have babies there. The smaller fish stay around the mangroves so they can hide from the bigger fish until they grow big enough to go out on their own. So these mangroves are just ripped out, thrown away, and they put in shrimp pens. And these shrimp pens, they just put more shrimp in there than they should. So what they have to do just to keep the shrimp alive, not to keep them healthy, but just to keep them alive, they have to pour antibiotics and toxins and all sorts of things. And this leaches out all around the ocean. And when they're done with these pens, they pull up stakes and they've left a dead zone where nothing grows, nothing can live. So you might want to think about that the next time you take a shrimp. So what can we do about this kind of stuff? You know, we feel powerless sometimes. But what we can do is we can go to the Honoree Bay Aquarium website and download for your phone a list on the Seafood Watch. And it will tell you which fish are sustainable and which fish are not sustainable. So when you go to a restaurant, you can go and look at that app and figure out which fish are okay to eat. That you don't have to stop eating fish. And the ones that aren't sustainable, if the restaurant is selling those fish, then you can call them on that and they will stop. Plastic is another horrible thing for the ocean. You know, they say in the year 2050 that more plastic will be in the ocean than fish in the ocean. That's amazing. The weight of this plastic will be more than the weight of all the animals in the ocean. Now you know that over 50% of the animals live in the ocean. 50% of the animals that exist live in the ocean. So that's incredible. You know, single-use plastic is detrimental to the ocean. So carry reusable water buckets, water canisters. You know, don't buy those cases of water that you take 3 sips and then throw the thing away. Straws, you know, straws, I never thought much about straws, but when they went through the seabird stomachs, various seabird stomachs, 90% of the seabirds had plastic in their stomach. 100% of the turtles had plastic in their stomach. Because the turtles, they see one of those bags from the supermarket and they think it's a jellyfish, and they eat it and they die. So straws, you could carry your own straw. They make metal straws, they make bamboo straws. You can carry those. You can ask the restaurant to have cardboard straws. You can tell them to stop buying the plastic stuff. So what else can you do? You can support organizations that support the environment, like the Wildling, who teach environmental education through art, through the artist. And if you want to pick an organization that is specifically for an animal, you can pick Shark Angels. You can also, the thing it's interesting is that everybody has a different personality, and every organization has a different personality. So if your personality is somebody who likes to come up against it, then you can pick Sea Shepherd. If you want some organization where you just, what do? Where you just witness what is going on, then you pick Greenpeace. If you want some organization that takes it through the courts, then you pick the Nature Conservancy. Or like I say, Shark Angels, or you can pick your specific animal. Because where there's no water, there's no life. You know, the ocean gives us 50 to 70% of our oxygen that we breathe. That's 7 breaths out of 10 that you should thank the ocean for. Where there's blue, there's no green. Where there's no blue, there's no green. And the thing to really consider is that there's no planet B. There's no way out. We have to take care of these animals. We have to take care of our environment, or we won't have it. So, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you,
Thank
Richard.
you.
That was wonderful. So we have some questions in the chat room, and we also have some questions that we are personally interested in. And one of them is, we know that you've explored in waters around the globe, and I'm curious, what is the harshest environment you ever dove in, and what did that mean in terms of your prep?
Well, the harshest environment that I ever dove in was probably Greenland, because it was 36-degree water. And we had to put on special suits, a dry suit, and I had a heater in my suit that heated up the top of my hands and my back and my feet. And you have to have a certain type of regulator where the first stage, which is the stage that you attach to the tank, has to be 2 separate ones and has to be sealed. Because of the cold, you can have problems with your regulator. And that was, and we only stayed in about 20 minutes. That was it. And then your hands don't work anymore, and you can't press your buttons, and you run into all kinds of trouble.
That would not be good.
No, it wouldn't.
So Julie typed in a question, and it was in relation to Audrey's tribute, and she was talking about some of the equipment that you helped them train with, and I think it was it called Corbels? The little
Kerbal.
cute guys?
The Kerbal.
Kerbal.
That's right.
What are those?
Well, what the Kerbal is it's a lighting device. It's a little guy like this that I made out of a door handle and a little square cube, and I put some texture on. And so you can take him down there. He has on weights, and he has a couple corks on the side, on his arms. And you can set him anywhere on the reef, and you can start to photograph him. Well, what you can see is you can see the light falling on him. So if you have your strobes, which most people put their strobes on either side of the camera, a little bit high or a little bit low, and I think that that's flattening the light out. So I like to get it with the long arms. I like to get the light around and show the curvature and the texture of the subject. And I think that's what sets a lot of my photos apart from other people's. I think other people just shoot flat. So that's the little Kerbal.
Are there questions in the chat room? Yes.
We had, Kevin asked, a lot of the plastic in the ocean comes out of Asia, especially China. Is Richard aware of any efforts there to curb the use and casual disposal of plastic?
I don't know. I don't know of any, what? Yes?
Oh, repeating the question.
Oh, repeating the question. What was the question?
Kevin asked about any efforts to curb the use and casual disposal of plastics in Asia and China.
Oh yeah, casual disposal and use of the plastics in Asia and China. Are there any programs? None that I know of. I haven't read anything about that. We're pretty good in this country, and we're really good in Santa Barbara and surrounding areas, but I haven't heard anything like that. I think they have a tendency to just toss things wherever they want. unfortunately, because I know that when you go to Indonesia, I haven't been there myself, but when you go to Indonesia, there's a lot of trash in the water. And in fact, there's a lot of animals that are making their homes in trash, in bottles, in cans, and things like that, which isn't healthy, but they make do with what they have.
So what has been maybe your most thrilling or the scariest encounter? I mean, was there something where your heart was really beating and you were kind of like, I don't know if this is going to go well?
Well, scariest was I was in Vancouver, and I was about 80 feet down or so on a wall, and a wall is just straight down. It goes down to 300 feet. This one did. And I was down about 80 feet, and I was adjusting my gear or getting ready to take a photograph, and all of a sudden this guy came down on my head and was falling because he wasn't properly weighted. He had just crashed into me. And I mean, luckily, because I stopped him, and that was the scariest moment that I've ever had. But I've never had a scary moment with an animal. You know, I've never had one that's come too close. Sharks have come close, but I haven't had that to worry about. Exciting thing? Exciting, okay, here's some excitement. Stellar sea lions. Stellar sea lions are 500-pound sea lions, and they're 7 feet, 6 feet, 6, 7 feet high. And they come down, and at first they sort of play shy. You know, well, we're little shy creatures. And then they come over and they grab you and they push you around this way and that way. They sit on you. They grab at your equipment. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. And never before or nowhere else can you be with an animal that can tear you apart. I mean, literally pull your head off or your arms or whatever, and they don't hurt you. They sometimes bite you in your butt a little bit and pinch you a little too much. But on the whole, they're very fun and very gregarious, and just, I can't wait. I've been doing it for 7 years, 1 trip a year, so sometimes 2 trips, and I'm doing another one in January. I can't wait.
So you're not intimidated. It sounds like you really understand them. But is that true of everybody you're diving with? I mean, if I were a student, I would find that damn intimidating.
Well, you know, there's this one woman, what's her name? I forget her name right now, but she was an older woman, and she was very short. And I give a lecture before we go diving with the sea lions, and she kind of came up to me after the lecture and said, Richard, I think I'm in the wrong place because you're scaring me with all these pictures and all these things that you say. Gloria, that's her name, Gloria. And I said, Gloria, we'll go down together. I'll be right by your side, and you know, everything will be all right. So we went down, and the sea lions were particularly playful at that time, and they got Gloria and they took her this way and that way and all this stuff, and I was a little worried, and we went up to the surface, and I waited for her to sit down and collect herself, and I said, Gloria, are you okay? She said, that was insane. That was insane. Can we do it again? So she's been in my class probably the last 3 years.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, she's amazing.
That's very cool. Are there other questions?
There is another question. We also have an update on China. They have unveiled a major plan to reduce single-use plastics.
What do you?
Do implement bans on non-degradable bags starting in 2022, and that's from the BBC. So.
That's great. So China is making some progress towards getting rid of plastic.
To avoid plastic in the first place, I think.
Yes, of course, of course.
So thank you, Rebecca.
Yeah.
And another question is, Susan asked, what impact has global warming had on ocean currents and marine life that you've witnessed?
Well,
Repeat the question.
yeah, what impacts does global warming have on marine life that I've experienced? I've seen a lot of dead coral and a lot of the water has heated up and killed the coral. It was in the Solomon Islands where I saw probably the most, and in Australia too. Australia in the Barrier Reef, and it just doesn't come back. You know, it's taken millions of years to grow and be what it was, and so I don't know what to do about that other than, you know, hope that people get it together and you know, use things for plastic and I don't know.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
You know, it covers so many areas. There's so many things that you can do. You know, you can start with more of a plant-based diet, if that's what you want to do. You can cut meat out 3 times a week or twice a week or once a week, you know, would do something and move towards a plant-based diet. You know, I had a stroke last year, and I've gone to a plant-based diet mostly. Every now and then I'll have a little skipjack tuna or something like that. But it's changed my blood work, it's changed my health. I've started walking more, and it's made a great difference in my health. So, and the health of the planet, because eating meat is not the greatest thing.
Yes, another question.
Another question from Rebecca. She asked if you could speak a little about your personal experience of marine sanctuaries.
What is my personal experience of marine sanctuaries? The only marine sanctuaries that I have personal experience are the ones out here on Santa Barbara, California. And I dove back in the 70s, about 75 to 79 or so. So I remember, I mean, there was abalone, there were lobster, there were fish all over the place. I mean, it was paradise. And when I went back into diving in 2004, because I was out for 25 years, building my business and everything else, my life, everything else, I went back to some of these places, and some of these places were just barren now and had sea urchins all around it. But some of the places that have been saved, like I think Gull Island is one of the places, it looked the same. It didn't have as many abalone, but everything else had come back. You know, the sea is a tremendous has tremendous regenerative powers if we just leave it alone for a while. If we just protect these places and, you know, leave it alone. Cuba, oh, well, I didn't see, okay. Cuba, I went to Cuba, and that's what this was, Cuba. This is Cuba. And so, Cuba has been protected for over 60 years. Fidel Castro was a diver and a spear fisherman, and Jacques Cousteau went down there a long time ago in the 60s and told him, you need to protect this area or there won't be any fish. So he protected it. I mean, nobody goes out there if Castro says don't go out there. So I've been down there, and there are healthy reefs. In fact, it's the healthiest reef in the Caribbean. There are more sharks down there, and the more sharks there are, the healthier the reef is, because the sharks clean up the slow, the sick, and the dead and the old fish. You know, so they keep the fish population healthy. I mean, that's what they're for.
I think last question on my end. I don't know if there's anything else in the chat room.
Last chance, but I think you're good.
Okay, so how about those who have never gone for a dive? What would be your advice for someone who's interested, got inspired maybe tonight? What should they do?
Well, I would call your local dive shop and see when their classes are. I mean,
I sort of got into diving to meet people, to meet a group of people that, because I had moved into a town where I didn't know anybody. And scuba diving sounded like a good idea, and I've always loved Jacques Cousteau and all that. And so I went in there and I just was amazed once I got underwater. I mean, the life that's under there is like none other. And it's like being out in the jungle. You know, there's nothing in between you and the shark, or you and the rockfish, or you and the lobster. Nothing that you can't go up and touch it, you know? And that's amazing to me, that you can go up to wild animals. They're all wild, and touch them. You know, there was a fish one time, I went down and take a picture of him, and I had my lens cap on my camera, so I couldn't use it. And I thought, I'm gonna reach out and touch that fish under the chin. And I did, I reached a rockfish, and I put my hand back and thought, did I just do that? I'm not sure, you know, that was, and I reached out again and tickled him right under the chin. And to have that kind of communication with another being, you know, another species, like the manta, is incredible. So I would call your local dive shop up, find out when the class is. You have to pass some tests, but probably no problem. And I would do it and come out on my trips.
I'm starting to think about it. Oh, Lauren.
I do have one last question from Kevin. He asked, who are the turkey vultures of the sea?
The turkey vulture. Who are the turkey vultures of the sea? So that's the animals that eat dead animals?
Scavengers, yeah.
Scavengers.
Yeah.
Well, crabs, lobster. I guess you could say sharks are, because they go after dead and old and slow fish. That would, I guess, be about it. I'm sure there's others, but nothing has come to mind yet, unfortunately.
Sounds good to me. I think it's time to give you an award. And I think if your family would like to come up, both of you, one of you. We're very excited that his wife, Rebecca Troon, is here to support him, and his mother, Lillian, and can I say her age?
You
she
certainly
should be
can.
very proud. Lillian is a centenarian. She is 100 years old and here, and I know Richard speaks very, very highly of her. And
I
so
do, even though she's short.
I was so glad that they could be here. So Richard, I mean, I think everybody watching, you can completely understand why he's the perfect fit for the 2021 Wilderness Spirit Award. We're so proud of you and our association with you, and hopefully more projects to come in the future. We want to present this award, and it is a small sculpture done by Bud Bottoms, and it is the Dolphin Family, which is the same sculpture that's out there on the pier.
Yeah.
And we contacted Carol Ann Bottoms if this would be a possibility. And I thought of Bud in particular because Bud is also an artist and an oceans advocate. So what better to present to you, Richard,
Well, thank you.
than a piece of Bud for all your amazing work.
Well, thank you, Stacy, and thank you for supporting me for so many years in the shows, and you've been so kind. And it's great working with you also. I love you. That's great. And thanks, Mom, for having me. If she didn't have me, it wouldn't be here. And thank you, darling, for supporting me before I could support myself, believing in me. So thanks.
Thank you, Richard. So, next up, I have to recoup myself. So, Well, we have our raffle drawings. That is the next thing, but stay tuned through that as well because we have one final video and it features the lovely music and voice of Richard's wife,
Chu.
Rebecca.
That's right.
So we're going to do the raffle right now. So if you guys would like to, unless someone wants to hang out and help pull the names from the raffle basket, otherwise you can sit down.
I'll help with that. Okay. I'll help with the raffle ticket.
All right. Do you want to set that there?
Yeah,
Okay.
This is so beautiful.
So here's our basket. So we have the names of all of our paid attendees here, and we're going to start with the raffle for a museum membership and Richard's first book, Sea of Light, which focuses on the California Channel Islands very near us. So, Rebecca, pull a name. Oh, Bonnie and Val Basolio. Hopefully you're tuned in tonight and you will be taking home a membership and one of Richard's amazing books.
Yes.
Thank you, and thank you for supporting us. Okay, so round two are 2 DVDs created by our wonderful Jeff McLaughlin, who's still here making all this magic happen tonight. And yes, yay Jeff. And it's our Carrizo Plane movie that we did with him a couple years ago. Oh gosh, time flies. And also, thank you, Vanna. We have our Patty Jackamine documentary. Thank you. Documentary, and it's really special video of a very special person who founded us. So we're very happy to pass these on to the lucky winner, who is
Wait a second.
Penny Braniff. Congratulations, Penny, and you'll be able to enjoy those soon. We'll get them to
We'll be
you.
coordinating with everyone, so.
So if you can hand me, all right. So the grand prize is a wonderful gift basket provided by our wonderful friends at Montecito Bank and Trust. And I want to mention that they sponsor our online programming. So all the different lectures and webinars that we're able to do is because of Montecito Bank and Trust. So they put together a basket worth about $250 with 2 different bottles of wine. We have a Lincourt tasting. We have Chocolate Maya chocolates. I'm done. That's all I needed to hear right there. There's a Montecito picnic blanket, a tote bag, reusable water bottle. Yay. Yes, we should all be doing that. And some other gift certificates. So thank you, Montecito Bank and Trust. And the lucky winner is...
This person.
All right. Drum roll. Oh, Christine Power, our past president, Christine Power. Yay. So thank you, everybody, so much. Thank you, Vanna, otherwise known as Rebecca. And I do want to give a shout out to Lauren Sharp, our assistant director, who is also sort of an assistant director in this entire process. And thank you for your patience with our early technology flub. Well, it wasn't our flub, but we figured our way through it, and thank you for your patience. And just thank you for being here. If you are moved to donate to the Wildling through all of this, we certainly do welcome it, and it does help with all of our programming and exhibitions. And just check out our website, and we've got donation links there. And do be an advocate, as Richard suggested. So there's so many different ways we can take individual actions to make a difference. And it's time. We need to make a difference now in all kinds of ways. So thank you so much for tuning in. And now we're going to see a beautiful video with Richard's photography and Rebecca's music called Amakua. And then a short word from one of our wine sponsors, Alma Rosa, who's putting on a fun event on mental health awareness in July, along with our other wine sponsors, Deerberg. I don't have my notes in front of me. Kita Wine and Beckman Winery, and thank you guys for participating. And Rebecca.
Can I say one brief thing about
Rebecca, come and say one thing.
I just wanted to say that I wrote this song for Richard, and I tried to write it from his perspective based on what he told me about his experience of being in the ocean. So that's where that comes from. Thanks.
Thank you guys so much. Thanks for tuning in.
Swim Amakua, you are my family. I'll be your voice, I'll sing your song. Left of Darwin's arch, carried by the current, life swims all around, bubbles wobble to the surface, beneath the waves in rapture, suspended in this peace. I see my ocean family looking back at me. Amakua, swim before me. Amakua, I'll tell your story. Amakua, you are my family. I'll be your voice, I'll sing your song. The ocean moves around us as we meander slow. We're all in this together with somewhere and nowhere to go. Flying in slow motion, green to blue and blue to green. Sunbeams light our passing, heading west and free. Amakua, swim before me. Amakua, I'll tell your story. Amakua, you are my family. I'll be your voice, I'll sing your song. I'll be your voice, I'll sing your song.
After purchasing Almarosa Winery and its ranch from founder Richard Sanford in 2014, proprietors Bob and Barb Zorek began an extensive investment. They first built a stunning urban tasting room located in downtown Buellton, using natural light and recycled materials. They renovated the historic ranch house for visitors at the Almarosa Ranch, and most importantly, they started planting several new vineyard blocks in 2015, totaling 38 acres across 5 non-contiguous parcels. These hillside vineyards that represent 21 acres of Pinot Noir, 11 acres of Chardonnay, and 6 acres of Rhone varieties, Syrah, Grenache, and Viognier, are planted on hillside vineyards with different sites, elevation, aspects, and using a diversity of clones and California heritage selection.